What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik, and it is my pleasure to come to you, Bear Down Brian. We are talking, obviously, Chicago Bears. We're heading into the bye week after a thrilling 25-24 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders on the road. Block field goal, Josh Blackwell. You already know the deal. But there's a lot of information, a lot of news and things that are taking place already, here towards the middle of the week and Tuesday. We got a lot of information to go through, but I want to ask you right now, do not forget to like and subscribe. This channel has been alive for a while, but we rebranded it. I went to the heart and went all Bears with this, so I appreciate your support. If you dig the Bears, if you dig just good NFL conversation, make sure you hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button. Also, go even further. Take the third step. Hit the share button as well. So, without further ado, let's talk about one of the, I think, to me, in my opinion, the biggest news of the day. The Bears are going to more than likely, almost positively. Now, I don't think we haven't. The last I checked before I went live here, the Ben Johnson hadn't officially announced it, but all indications support that there's going to be a new starting left tackle in week 6 when the Bears come back from the bye against the Washington Commanders again on Monday Night Football. And it is going to be my man, Theo Benedet. Now, he started against the Raiders, and he was playing on the right side for an injured Darnell Wright. And I'm going to be totally honest with y'all. Early on, he was getting destroyed by Max Crosby. But it's Max Crosby. He's one of the best in the game. If you had any question or doubt about that, if you watched the Bears-Raiders game, I mean, if you want to talk about a game-wrecking defensive player, he was every bit of that for the Raiders, especially in the first half. And he even made some plays in the second half. But so Theo Benedet, a rookie, he did the best he could. And you see Brad Biggs is the one from Chicago Tribune. I believe he was first with the news. He wrote about this change that was coming. But in the second half, Ben Johnson made a switch, and he ended up going with Ozzie Trapilo, another rookie, and Benedet is a rookie. Ozzie Trapilo on the right side and moved Benedet to the left side. And suddenly the Bears offense just looked a lot better. If you look at the stats here for Benedet against the Raiders, 68 snaps, 44 pass block, 24 run block, didn't give up any sacks. Because the thing about it was Max Crosby having really wreaking havoc? Yes, but he really wasn't getting to Caleb a lot. Some of that was due to Caleb just really moving well and getting away from stuff. But 0 sacks, 0 QB hits, 2 hurries. And both of those hurries came while he was trying to block Max Crosby. But nonetheless, we saw so much, and we saw such impressive play from Benedet. And I don't get me wrong. I mean, he didn't look like Panay Sewell or freaking Jonathan Ogden out there. But the combination of him and Trapilo, I thought, gave the Bears their most consistent offensive line play, tackle play of the season. If I'm being honest, I think the penalties that really weren't falling on those guys most of the time. We did get a lot of pre-snap penalties, but most of those weren't on the tackles. I thought both of those guys played well, and when you consider that they're rookies and you think that the arrow should be pointing up, I think for sure this is a very positive change. I love to see the fact that Ben Johnson's not afraid to make a change even mid-game. Some coaches stay so married to whatever their first mind was, they make these changes that are totally reactionary, and it's after a lot of the damage has been done. But when you make a change mid-game and then you immediately see the benefit, even if you look at the run blocking from Benedet, which is where he has an edge over Braxton, in which Braxton is the one that ends up getting benched in this scenario, you see how much better the Bears even ran the ball when Benedet was out there. I saw another stat. I think this one was Cole Noble on Twitter posted this. He said he wasn't trying to put the blame on one person, which I understand, but he thought it was pretty evident. DeAndre Swift with Braxton Jones at left tackle, 6 carries for 1 yard. DeAndre Swift with Theo Benedet at left tackle, 7 carries for 34 yards. And it was the game-winning touchdown right off the left side with Benedet on that side. So I'm just saying, I think that this is a positive change. Now, who knows? Maybe Benedet goes out there in week 6 and gets turned into a turnstile. You make that adjustment, when it has to be made. But as of right now, I'm really happy that Ben Johnson made this adjustment. Here's the other thing. Darnell Wright was injured in week 4. Don't be shocked, guys, if Darnell Wright finds himself on a short leash, because Ozzie Trapillo was arguably just as impressive, if not more impressive, when he came in and allowed Benedet to switch over to the left side. Trapillo came in and did quite well on the right side. So Darnell Wright has been a penalty machine and hit or miss with play. So he's going to have to step up, because the Bears could go 2 rookie tackles. I don't think Ben Johnson is scared at all to make these changes. And I think that right there was a message, maybe not purposefully, but it was a message to Darnell Wright. He's got to pick it up, because there's a guy who was drafted in the 2nd round who can come in and potentially play in his place. So either way, I think this is positive news for the Bears. All right, our next thing, take a look at this. My man Caleb Williams is on a record pace. Now, I'm not ever going to front. You guys, I'm not ever going to front. I'm going to keep it real with you. Justin Fields is my favorite, is my favorite Bears quarterback of all time. He is. He's not the best Bears quarterback of all time. Don't get me wrong. But it was just something about Justin. I rooted for him. And as I believe the Bears window arrow is pointing up, there's something in me that wishes that he was a part of it. That said, I am totally rooting for Caleb Williams. He's our quarterback. I love his fire. I love his desire to be great. I love the work ethic. I love the way that he has allowed himself to be coached. I think that, this is somebody ultimately the Bears organization or the Bears fan base are going to fall in love with. Being on a record pace helps. Let me show you. Right now, Caleb Williams is on pace for 3,940 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and at this pace, he'll be sacked only 30 times. Now, 30 sacks might sound a lot to you, but if you consider that last year, I don't know how many of y'all realize how many times Caleb Williams got sacked in his rookie year. I think a lot of people say, oh, yeah, the Bears didn't have a good offensive line. And then some of that, of course, if you really realize, some of that was on Caleb because holding the ball too long, blah, 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 blah. But last year, he was sacked 68 times, a league high 68 times. Through 4 games, he's on pace to be sacked only 30. So we've more than cut that in half. The other thing that I think really stands out here is the 3,940 passing yards would be a single season Bears record. I don't know whether to clap or cry about that, because for the oldest or one of the oldest franchises in NFL history to never, ever have had a single season where a quarterback threw for 4,000 yards is absolutely crazy. But at the same time, Caleb Williams about to break that record, which just to now, let's not get too crazy, too whatever, because he won't be breaking it. If he does break it, he won't be breaking it by a ton of yardage. But nonetheless, if he breaks it, it's still, it still calls for celebration. If you're just wondering, the record, the best passing season in Bears history is Eric Kramer in 95. He threw for 3,838 yards. And so obviously that was Ron Turner's offense. It's a pretty solid Bears offense. But the 34 touchdown passes would also be a Bears record if he goes on that pace. And I kind of believe that he will. I really do. I kind of believe that he will. And if you're wondering whose record he would break, then it's also Eric Kramer, but it's a different season. He threw 29 touchdown passes in 1995. No, I'm sorry. It's the same season. Same season, he threw 29 touchdown passes. So Eric Kramer had the best passing season, kind of, sort of, in Bears history. But Caleb is well on his way to breaking that. Now, you do have to take into consideration that Caleb is projected to do this in 17 games. Eric Kramer played 16 games, and most of the seasons before now were 14 or 16 games for Bears. So I don't care. I care, but I don't care, right? Because all I know is the Bears have a passing game that has the potential to be as formidable or more formidable than any other aerial attack that they've had in history. But that's not it. But that's not all. Guess who else is also on a record-breaking pace? My man, Rome Odunze, is on pace for 1,258 receiving yards, 22 touchdowns. Wow. And 85 receptions. Now, the 85 receptions is solid. It wouldn't put him really too high on the Bears single season record list. The 1,258 yards is decently up there. A couple good games, bigger games here and there. It could go even higher. But the 22 touchdowns would absolutely obliterate the single season record for a Bears receiver. But even more than just from a receiving standpoint. So just so you know, the most receiving touchdowns in a single season by any Bears receiver is 13. Dick Gordon and Ken Cavanaugh are tied. Ken Cavanaugh did it in 1947. Dick Gordon did it in 1970. So, but it's not even just receivers though. The most touchdowns in a season, not by a quarterback, of course, but by a running back or a receiver, it's 14. Walter Payton did it twice in 77 and 79, and Gale Sayers did it in 69 and 65. 14. So Odunze could slow down relatively significantly and still break this record. So I want to see him. I love Walter Payton. I'm a humongous Walter Payton fan. Grew up on Walter Payton, so love him to death. So it's not like I'm any disrespect to Walter. But I would love to see Odunze, if he's going to break it, I would like to see him break the record within 16 games. So there isn't any whatever on his season. There's no asterisks or anything like that. I'm going to be honest. I'm so thirsty for a Bears quarterback that actually puts together a noteworthy season. I wouldn't care if Caleb Williams broke the record in 18 games. As long as we get at least 10 or 11 wins and he breaks that, I would be totally fine with that. So nonetheless, this is beautiful information or just beautiful news about the Bears, right? Just the passing game overall. Now, I don't want to just talk about the passing game. Let's talk about the defense. My man, and I say my man because y'all don't get me wrong. Don't try to hold me accountable for things I've said in previous videos. My man is that's an expression. I'm not saying I'm a lifelong Tyrique Stevenson or lifelong Caleb Williams follower or backer. I call it like I see it. When they play well, I say they did. When they don't play well, I say they don't play well. Fact of the matter is, Tyrique is playing like a top 10 corner in the NFL. Now, I say that rather loosely because I haven't had the time or access to watch all 22 footage of all of the cornerbacks for all 32 teams in the NFL. But by my eye and what I'm noticing here, and I have a couple stats I'm going to throw up to kind of somewhat support that. The plays I'm seeing Tyrique make, especially in the last 2 weeks, and when I say he's playing like a top 10 corner, I'm only talking about the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, he was getting torched. But the last 2 weeks, he has played like a top 10 corner. Just turnovers, big plays, defended passes, big tackles, everything, right? Now, PFSN tweeted this. It's the highest graded NFL cornerbacks from week 4, according to their CB impact metric. So we see Tyrique here is, I think this is, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I think it was 10. I wasn't sure how many they graded here. But the 9th highest rated cornerback in the NFL from week 4, 82.2 rating for Tyrique Stevenson. Eric Stokes for the Raiders was higher than that. Honestly, little small detail I'm going to tell you. The Bears were starting to move the ball in the second half, but when Eric Stokes got hurt, I felt like the offense even took a bigger step. So that was something that you don't hear a lot. You're not hearing a lot of people talk about. But Stokes was playing really well for the Raiders. But Tyrique had a fantastic game in week 4. He had another one in week 3. He is really on the uptick. I hope his confidence stays where it is. I hope that he continues to play mature, which is what he's done, was some of the problem last year. We all know about the Washington Commanders situation. He's got a game coming up with the Commanders in week 6. To me, this is a perfect opportunity for him to redeem himself against the team that probably was his infamous signature moment from the last season. So he can kind of exercise a lot of those demons with a good performance in that game. So good news. This is how it is after a big win. All of the news is for the most part pretty positive. Now, I've been a Bears fan for over 40 years, y'all. So I go back. All right. So there is a situation, a little bit of news that kind of broke today. And I mean, you know, I don't know how else to go into it, but Matt Forte was not even nominated, you know, to be a finalist for the Hall of Fame, the upcoming induction. And so the question to me, if you just go straight to the end of it, is Matt Forte a Hall of Famer, right? And I'm going to give what my answer is. I already have it in my head, but I'm going to go over what his response was. He got interviewed by Bears Wire, and he kind of broke it down and talked about it. And one thing, Matt Forte, I love Matt Forte. Matt Forte was one of my favorite players. He probably was my favorite player on those Bears teams. Just a fantastic player. I always felt like he was underrated. Just an absolute professional too. Just like a dude that carried himself a certain sort of way. I think he represents himself well, represents his family, represented the organization well. Just a good dude, right? So his response here doesn't shock me because it's class, but it's also, yeah, I'm a man and I know how good I was as well. So he said, he was asked, you know, if he was surprised by not being nominated. He said, I am surprised, but I'm not at the same time. A lot of it comes down to these awards and accolades. I have 2 Pro Bowl nods, and there are plenty of times where I think I had 1,900 all-purpose yards, and I didn't even get a second team all-pro for that. So it's kind of a popularity contest thing, too. He went on to say, if you played on a team that was really good, sometimes you get a little bit more attention than those teams that struggle. And obviously, the Bears, you know, during his time period, were not like a juggernaut or anything like that. And I don't know how. I have to look and see how many playoff appearances Forte had in a Bears uniform, but wasn't a fantastic team, right? Lastly, he says, I think the criteria for running back for the Hall of Fame should be a little different. Going back in history, there weren't many pass-catching running backs. It was only about rushing yards. So if you're at 10,000 rushing yards and he is just under that, he's like 9,700 something, that's when you scratch the surface of the Hall of Fame. But if you are a running back, you are required to run, block, and catch. So if you look at the full body of work of somebody like myself, that's close to 15,000 yards and 70 plus touchdowns, he's talking about from an all-purpose standpoint. I don't like to make my own case, but I would say if you look at the full body of work, when it comes to a running back, it's a little surprising to not be on there. So I'm going to say this, like, For me, I would say that I don't think that Matt Forte is a Hall of Famer. And this is coming from a hardcore Matt Forte fan. But let me give an explanation as to why I say that. Do I think that Matt Forte was one of the best running backs of his era, which is really what the Hall of Fame is supposed to be about? Are you one of the elite players at your position during your era? I think that he was. The problem, which is something that he alluded to, is that some of the stats don't line up. He was one of, like, you could argue that during his time, maybe the only running back that was definitively like, yeah, I'm a better pass catching running back than him. It's a short list, dog. It's a short list of guys. And you could make an argument that Matt Forte was just as good, if not better than those guys. He was an absolute beast. I mean, he had over 1,500 yards from scrimmage in, what is this, 2, 3, 4 years out of 4 of his 10 yards. And he only failed to get 1,000 yards from scrimmage 1 year, and that was the last year he played. So the thing with Forte is rookie is when he's 23 years old. He left the game when he was 32 after he played 2 years with the Jets. The rushing yardage is under 10,000 yards. Okay. but the receiving yardage is 4,600 yards, right? And if you look at the touchdowns, like you mentioned, he has 21 receiving touchdowns in his career, 54 rushing touchdowns. He has 75 touchdowns. He's, like you said, over 15,000 yards, close to 15,000 yards from scrimmage. He has something of a case, but to me, you look at some of the numbers, and like I said, he's only voted to 2 Pro Bowls in his entire career. He was never an All-Pro. At some point in time, you got to look at that and say, the numbers don't tell everything, especially in football, but when you got a guy who played 10 seasons and he only rushed for over 1,000 yards in 5 of them, that screams like the wrong side of borderline, in my opinion. So for me, Matt Forte is one of those guys who is perfect for a organization's ring of honor. And I really would like to see that be a bigger thing across the NFL with every team, because I don't want to see anybody else's number retired. They're like, you got teams out here that you can't hardly wear anybody's number anymore. Like in all sports, Boston Celtics got 175 numbers retired. It's all over the place, right? And so I would like to see essentially all numbers back into circulation, but I would like to see people, with the exception of 42 in baseball, I don't think nobody should ever wear 42 in baseball. I would be all for nobody ever wearing 23 in basketball. I'd be all for that. I don't think there's anybody in the NFL who is so synonymous with a number that that number should be retired across the league. I don't think even retired for a franchise, right? If the Lakers said no, like Lakers have nobody wear 8 and 24, I get it. But overall, I would like to see most numbers put back into circulation, and we really, really give some respect on guys getting added to Ring of Honors for their franchise. To me, that's what Matt Forte is. Matt Forte is one of the greatest Bears of all time. I would make the argument he is the 3rd greatest running back in the franchise's history, behind Walter and Gale Sayers. And we're talking about 2 absolute all-time greats in terms of who he would be behind. But I think that's the more appropriate spot. And I commend him for being able to be real that way, because a lot of people, man, you played the game, all these years, and how much you dedicated and how good you are. Like, I think Matt Forte knows that nobody he played against was definitively like so much better than him. So I know that's kind of hard, because it's like, if I was in your situation, I'd have did the same thing you did or more, but I wasn't. I played for the Bears, and this is what I had. So I get it, but you still have to the criteria has to be based on what you saw, and what we saw and what Matt Forte did, to me, is not absolute. It's not Hall of Fame worthy. So that's that. All right. The last thing we're going to talk about today is these images of the Bears' new stadium is supposed to be in Arlington Heights, and will be in Arlington Heights. And so it's obviously it's like AI mock-ups, but people were calling out how similar it looks to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And I think, that's how it is when it comes to tech and real estate and things like that. People are going to kind of mimic the newest, the latest, and the greatest, right? And Allegiant Stadium is amazing to see and all of that. I've never been there, but just looking at it, on television, I even watching Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. This is where their fight was in Allegiant Stadium. It's a fantastic looking place, right? And from outside and in, so I get it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I could care less, and let me explain why. As long as they're still the Chicago Bears, that's all I really care about. And the stadium is still located in Illinois, and it's not so far south where you got to go like to Springfield or something crazy like that. Somewhat close to Chicago, still in Illinois. That's what I care about. I'm not going to go to a lot of games, and I'm going to tell you why. Like, I might go to a game at this stadium just to say that I went. And maybe I'll go to two. I'll go to one where I sit in the crowd, and I'll go to one where I'm in a suite. And I'm going to tell you this, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I prefer watching football at home. I just do. You don't have to worry about, so I'm 6'5", 279. I'm a big guy. So I can usually stand up and see over everybody's head. But having to stand up every third down, when I'm watching a Bears game, I don't want to do cardio. I'll do that earlier in the day, but I don't want it to be a prerequisite, the up, down. So I found that I don't enjoy it as much. And then two, you miss some of the perspective, right? From the commentary team. You miss all the different angles that you get a chance to look at. Sometimes, yes, of course, they put it up on the big screen inside the stadium, but it's just not the same. And I'm not as comfortable. I can't move from this seat to that seat if I want to. I can't go downstairs and grab something to eat if I want to. If I'm at home, if I really need to be out of the room for a second, I can pause that joint and then come back and catch up and fast forward through. Now, that's not going to be a possibility for me Sunday and moving forward, because I'm going to be live streaming myself on this channel watching the game. So if you want to watch the game with me, by all means, make sure you tune in on not Sunday, because we don't play Sunday. Next week on Monday Night Football, I'll be right here in front of it, and we'll be watching it together. But in general, I prefer to watch at home. So it's nice. Hopefully it does some stuff from a revenue standpoint that allows the Bears to feel freer and going out to get players and things of that nature, and makes it a more attractive place for free agents and things like that. Great. Overall franchise improvement, I'm all for it. But it doesn't make that much difference to me. I saw some people online like, yeah, I don't like it. I never want to go there. And they're so attached to Soldier Field. Soldier Field's fine. I have no problem with it. But it's the team, it's the players for me. No matter where they're playing, it's the team, it's the players. So that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching as usual. Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless and peace.